Y'all, it wouldn't shock me if Chip Kelly said Ohio State's going to use an up-tempo offense this season.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here on Thursday, August 29th in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. 5-Hour Energy fixes tired fast. With zero sugar and a convenient, portable size, it's a perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Here with us for today's show, we're a couple days away from the start of Ohio State's 2024 campaign, and it's my guy, Jeff Hunt. Jeff and I literally did a show before recording this show, talking about Stallions, talking about Texas and Alabama and Ewers and Georgia. And that's not going to infiltrate what we're going to talk about today, because today is about Ohio State's offense. We've done a lot of talking about Will Howard, the Buckeyes offense, what he should do on Saturday, things he should do this year. But I wonder if Chip Kelly, while Will Howard leads the offense, will utilize the up-tempo offense. We know Kelly likes it, and I think it's a good way for the Buckeyes to get an upper hand on their opponent.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be great. And I think that's part of the reason you pick a veteran like Howard. It's weird to say veteran in college football now, but that's where we're at, is that I think, we talked a lot about it off the air, Jay. Like nobody's going to say that he's, going to be Jalen Daniels of last year or anything like that. But what they needed was a guy that can digest information, process information quickly, not get rattled. Sometimes I don't know how to say this, but sometimes it's good to have a guy that has quote unquote limitations. It's hard to say that for like a 6'4" dude that like Howard's a very talented individual, but I'm saying like he knows who he is. They know who he is. And it's like, he needs to be the guy that he needs to be Steve Nash. You know what I mean? Anybody that remembers Steve Nash needs to come out there, take your shots when you need to, keep it moving, get everybody the ball. Don't think too much about it. You don't have to be a hero. This isn't about you. And I think Kelly, he's got a guy that can, I heard he's moving up to the booth. That was one of the latest things I heard, which means to me, that means I'm going to interpret it as I feel comfortable with him down there with my other coaches and of course Coach Day. I'm not going to need to be down there to calm him down. I don't have to talk him through this. I'm going to call plays. He's going to be able to digest and regurgitate these plays, run the plays, let all the athletes on the field do their thing. And if he just does all that, he's going to have a great season. The Buckeyes are going to have a great season, possibly a championship, and everything's going to work out by just running the system. And I think that's something. I think that's actually been coming along with the Day experience. I mean, as critical as we were last year, the system is what got them undefeated going into the game. Like, we haven't talked about that enough. Is like, as hard as, Jay and Jeff are on Day, and we've done all the shows rehash. The thing is, the system is what's got them there, not just being athletes and not just having a freak at quarterback, like they did some years. So I'm actually optimistic about, to me, what I perceive as a slight upgrade at the position pretty much across the board. And then a slight upgrade with the teamwork between the head coach and the offensive coordinator. I like the tempo. If they don't have enough guys, veterans to run this now, they can't ever. I mean, they got seniors and juniors across the board, some of the best players in the country. Like, if not now, win, Jay. If not now, win.
I was thinking about that when you talking about veterans earlier, that you mentioned some of the older guys on the team. Let's just say just on offense in general. Doesn't matter if it's an up-tempo offense, which I think Ohio State should utilize sparingly throughout the season, or if it's huddle, play, all that kind of stuff. They have the kind of guys right now, the older players, to digest whatever Chip Kelly wants them to run. You shouldn't have to be contained or confined with, well, we're forced to huddle because our guys can't go fast. or our guys go better fast versus slow, or 3rd and 8. This guy can't be on the field. He's a 5th-year guy, but he can't be on the field. You got to bring in somebody else. You have the kind of guys, and we not just based off their 10-year playing college football, but we have seen a lot of these guys do great things in different situations, different scenarios. Now, I think the interesting thing is going to be, do some of the younger guys in the receiver room specifically need to huddle? Or do they need to go fast? Or are they struggling trying to go back and forth between the huddling and the tempo that Chip Kelly might want to utilize? Cardinal Tate, Brandon Ennis, Jeremiah Smith are the 3 guys that are on my mind right now. We know how talented they are as receivers, and we know how mature they are. And I everything we hear is they should be able to pick it up quickly, digest it. It's different from a practice field versus going to a game field, Jeff. And so maybe they do it great in practice, then maybe they may struggle a little bit on the game field early. Early season struggles, they're bound to happen. Just don't let it continue into the midseason to the end of the season, because when it's natty or bust in Ohio State and you're having the same issues game 12 that you're having game 1, it's a sense of deja vu because that happened last year. But 2, you're not really setting yourself up to win the postseason.
Yeah, and let's also think about, like, that was a great point that you made, is like having the veterans. There should be no limitations to what Kelly can do. Just go out there and do it. And also, I just want to make a point. This is why, no offense to I love Akron. I like the city, a lot of respect for it. I've known a lot of kids that have went there over the year. This is why you play Akron game 1 and not Georgia Tech. So you can work some of these things out in real time. You can find out, that's a great point. You said what players fare better when you have to slow it down and try to kill the clock, and what players fare better when you have to speed it up. That's how you learn these things. Like, you're right, and not everybody's going to be great at running tempo, especially when you talk about offensive linemen. That's probably all. We could have a 3-hour conversation about, like, the difference in playing offensive linemen in these two situations.
Kelly's guys used to lose like 10, 15 pounds in season because they just the offensive linemen just couldn't keep weight on.
And then I don't know how many people. I used to go back every week and watch the UCLA games because I started watching for their defense. Like, UCLA's defense was so great last year. I was like, I got to see what they did. But what I notice is a thing as soon as we say up tempo, what do people think? They think you're going to go air raid. And they think you're going to, like, get up to the line of scrimmage and just sling it. No. Kelly will go up tempo and run the ball. Like, he'll just, like, if anybody goes back to, the Oregon days, like when he would have 2 of those guys in the backfield that both of them could, break the game open. He would go up tempo and run the ball, right down your throat. So that is what makes Kelly's up tempo so a little bit different. And people are catching up. Obviously, Kelly's been coaching for so long. His coaching tree is pretty good. It's not, nobody's going to be like, oh, you just rewrote, but when you do it and you have the athletes, much like he did with Oregon, a decade ago, that's when you can, like, do some really great things with, if you can go up tempo and you get some mismatches on, the offensive line, you get a couple small linebackers, and you got, these 2 running backs we're going to talk about later. Now, all of a sudden, you're going up tempo. You may not have to throw the ball. And let's forget that you got a guy in the backfield that can break it at any moment. I don't think they're going to unleash him early. But you also got a guy that at least somebody on that defense has to keep it at minimum 1 eye on, probably 2. You know what I mean? So, like, it's that you can go up tempo with a power running attack. As long as that's one of the things I want to watch this week is this off, because Ohio State's offensive line the last few years hasn't really been ready. Like, it feels like they're endurance and stuff, and keeping up the tempo and stuff. Honestly, I thought that was one thing. They like bigger guys, bigger pass blockers, and that's kind of tough. So it's like, I really want to see, like, did they put the work in the offseason? Can they go up tempo and still keep pushing people around? Because if you can go up tempo and push the other team around, well, it's a wrap. I mean, you're gonna win a lot of games, and run a lot of time off the clock. Because let's not forget, up tempo doesn't mean you don't run time off the clock.
Correct.
So and that's kind of what Kelly has kind of switched over to the last few years and been successful at.
Jeff, talk about Chip Kelly a lot with the type of offense the Buckeyes might run as far as the pace. Well, I think Kelly and Day, especially in 2024, their experience coaching in the National Football League give the Buckeyes an added advantage. We'll talk about that next. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy shots give you the feeling of alertness and energy you need to get in the zone. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's a perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and more. There's a flavor for everyone. On the site, you even have the option to build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it is delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, and get some 5-Hour Energy product today, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. College football is back, and it's not too late to catch up before the season kicks off. SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, you can get it all from Locked On stable of college experts by subscribing to the Locked On College Football Podcast. Who has a chance to make the playoff? What teams will cause chaos in their new conferences? Everything you need to know all in one place. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the Locked On College Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jeff, when it was announced that coaches could speak to players up until the 15 seconds left in the play clock, coach already has a headset on. They're putting in speakers inside of the helmets of the players, the quarterbacks. It made me think, wow, Ohio State really has a major luxury right now. Not every school has a Ryan Day or has Ryan Day. Not every school has a guy like Chip Kelly that has experience doing this before in the National Football League. When it comes to Will Howard, we talked about veterans earlier. You want a veteran to be able to handle this the first year it's ever allowed in college football, because if you want to go tempo, there's one word Kelly can say, bam, changes everything.
Yeah.
Because that one word, whatever the word may be, Howard gets that at the end of a play. He yells it to the players. Bam, one word could be the offense. You're running next 3 or 4 plays, and it's not having to huddle, guy go to the sidelines, or get signals in from the sidelines. All of a sudden, it's, hey, I got experience doing this. Here's how it works in the National Football League. For Day, same thing. It's almost like, hey, you mentioned him trusting Howard and him being up in the sky. He can also be up in the sky and saying, well, I don't have to be down there because I can control things all the way up top because I got trust in my quarterback. And I think that trust is going to help Will Howard when Kelly's giving him that communication in his headset.
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I think that was the biggest note I wrote for this season is the helmet communication. And it's one of those things that, and so the biggest thing about it is the difference between the NFL and college football, and that it's this is something that I haven't heard a lot of people say, and I really think that I've been thinking about a lot. College football fans do not know to be quiet when their offense is on the field.
No.
If anybody knows this, Jay, you're an Indianapolis Colts fan. You have the best trained fan base in
Correct.
the entire NFL for decades because they had Peyton Manning, and they knew exactly. Like Peyton Manning got the ball. It was the weirdest things. Like, man, Colts are really good, but their fans are super quiet. Yeah, because they knew when it was offensive time to be efficient, you calm down, you get quiet. And so now all of a sudden it brings a little more home field advantage into it if you can teach that, because now you get the helmet comm going on. We'll say when the Buckeyes were at, Autzen Stadium out there, you think those fans are going to quiet down so Howard can hear the play. So that's the biggest thing is, like, I saw it in the Florida State Georgia Tech game, over there in Dublin, and they really were really focused on hearing the play because fans just aren't trained that way.
No.
College football fans are scream as loud as you can until, the final whistle. So that's going to be interesting. Ohio Stadium can get loud.
Yeah.
The Akron game is probably not going to be one of them to where they're going crazy while they're on the field, but it's going to come to that. So like little things like that, instead of just looking over and looking at the cue card, you do got to be able to hear it. There's going to be hiccups and issues. So I'm with you as far as, like, you've got guys that have been through it and are more comfortable with it. Everybody's going to catch up, probably by the end of the season, I would think. I don't think there's going to be, but I'd say early in the season, I would much rather have the guy that's done it. I'd much rather have a Chip Kelly, Ryan Day, somebody like that's actually done it. And it's funny because I don't know when they're going to name this rule the Harbaugh rule, because it's absolutely why they allowed helmet communication. If anybody doesn't remember,
I'm only laughing because it's true.
It's the truest thing. You know why they got notebooks and helmet communication? That's exactly why. For whatever you want to take out of it, that's 100% why. So that is going to be interesting to see and how Howard does. But I think it's going to be fine with Ohio State because of everything you said. So it's just all these little things. This is, I know everybody will sit there and tell me like, why do you care? Like it's Akron, blah, blah, blah. This is what I'm watching.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about, the point spread. I'm not worried about any of that. I'm worried about execution. I'm worried about getting the play in. I'm worried about everybody, because you also have to get that play in. The quarterback has to hear it, and the quarterback has to get that out to his player. So that's a slight difference. Is actually you have a little more huddling now.
Yeah.
Because all the players, they can't look to the sideline and know. So that system's a little different. So it's extremely interesting, the changes that are coming, and to watch how each team deals with it early in the coaching staff.
So one thing that I think when we think about coaches talking to players and the helmet communication that players and coaches have this year, we do it naturally. We all focus to the quarterback, the offensive coordinator. You mentioned Peyton Manning, and you're correct. Colts fans are trained. Peyton Manning used to flap his arms if it was too loud. Just shut up. Let him get the play in. He's going to Harrison. They're going to score. Then you'll cheer at the end of that.
Then you can cheer.
So the other thought to this is Ohio State has a veteran at the Mike linebacker spot in Cody Simon. Let's not lose sight that the Mike or some linebacker, probably on defense, probably the Mike, is going to be getting the same access that the quarterback's getting on the offense, because only one person on the field per team at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So Akron's going to have a guy on offense and defense. Ohio State's going to have a guy on offense and defense. So we focus on the Chip Kelly experience, the Ryan Day experience. This is new for Jim Knowles. But Jim Knowles also, I don't think he's going to be one that's overcoach or speak too much. He has major trust in Cody Simon. He's wearing the Block O. I believe he's a captain this year, so he's got the trust of his peers too. But I think Jim Knowles, this is going to help him out as well, because now it's, hey, man, look for this. Look for this. That's what I've been seeing. Oh, here's the play. And Knowles is just going to shut up and let Simon do his thing. It's a luxury for Ohio State to have a veteran linebacker in Simon who's going to be having this extra access to Knowles during the games this year.
Yeah, I always thought that I'm glad you brought this up, Jay, completely off script, and I'm proud of you. But I always thought that the communication in the defensive side was a bigger advantage when they came out with it, because when you're on defense and you're looking out there, like, you have to wait so long for your tendencies, and especially if you're a middle line, because the difference is the defense has to go on the snap. They don't get to decide when the ball snaps. So if there's 12 seconds left on the play clock and the offense snaps the ball, the defense is done reading. You read your key in front of you and go. That's where now it gives you a little more time for the eye in the sky to say, hey, so-and-so went to the slot. This is probably a, whatever the read is, like this is probably the screen, or this is the bubble, or, whatever, or, so-and-so lined up at tight end. Oh, he's a little closer to the tackle than normal. More like this is a run. It's those little tiny things, those tidbits. I always thought that the defense got a little more, boost out of it because of these things, because they get it's just more information they get from a different set of eyeballs, so I actually like it. And again, it's another bonus for Ohio State, bunch of veterans, maybe the best defensive player in the country in the back end, like, so on and so forth, all the accolades for these guys that stayed. And and they were a really good defense last year. So if they can get in position, 2 seconds earlier, or that's one more play that doesn't get by them, that's that you're taking something really good to elite possibly. So I love it. I'm always a big fan. This should have came in, years ago, just to modernize the game. And it's about getting these kids information. Just get them information out there, and let them figure it out. Now you got a chess match. And of course, both sides have it. Yeah. So it's not, it definitely benefits the team whose players, are more prepared and ready for it, which you already, you brought up that in theory, Ohio State coaching staff should be that coaching staff most of the season.
Yes. Jeff, there's one question and thought about Kelly and Jim Knowles being up in the booth throughout games. I don't want to throw at you after the break because I think it's very important people hear this leading into game 1 of the year. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sports book. So, Jeff, Jim Knowles is going to be up in the booth, up top, eye in the sky, just like Chip Kelly. What added advantage does it allow Ohio State to have that both coordinators are up in the sky and not on the sideline?
Now, I'm always an up in the sky guy because just like we said, you can just see the field. You can literally just see the field better. You can see motion, you can see movements. And, if you want to look over and see tendencies, if you want to look how a guy's leaning, it's just because, if anything, I don't know if everybody's been on a football sideline, especially like a big time stadium. If you look straight across the field, you can really only see about the top half of the other sideline, like because of the arch of the field and stuff for rain purposes. Like you don't get the vision even that you think you do, like playing NCAA football. It's totally different. People that know that, I apologize, I'm not trying to dumb anybody down, but like if you haven't stood on a sideline, you don't realize what it's like to look across there. It's almost impossible to see anything, and that's where coordinators are standing. So I like them up in the sky. I like them removed from quote unquote like. No, I don't want to say babysitting, but like I don't need them. I don't need my coordinators, my high-paid coordinators down there calming guys down, talking them through it. That's what their assistant coordinators do. That's what strength coaches do. That's what their buddies do. That's what leaders do. I need my guys X's and O's. I always used to like watch Mike Riley for Oklahoma State when he was still coaching the offense. He might still, but when he was about 40, when he was roughly a man and he was 40. When the defense was on the field, he went back and worked. Because he's like, I'm just watching the game now. Like, I need to be working. So I think when you're up in the booth, like you can just get more work done. You got more information coming in. You got your team about you. I know when I sit higher up in the stands, I see the game better. Yes. Even I, as just Jeff, I'll see a tendency. You can ask my wife, we'll go to a game and I'll look over and I'm like, oh, this is a touchdown. Because you just see that one little thing. And I can't see that when I'm on the sideline. So to me, it's literally just the view that I think makes it better, and it removes you from some of the emotion. Yeah. Knowles does not appear to be like one of these raw emotional coaches. No. He seems to be a tactician, and I think Kelly is more like that too at this age. Not every coach is like that. Some guys want to be down with the players, banging it up and revving them up and all that and screaming at them. That's fine too, but it shows me that a veteran Ohio State team. And again, I'm with you. You have an honest conversation with them. Y'all came back. Y'all making money.
Yeah.
Y'all grown-ups now. You know what I mean? Like it's go time. I don't need to be down here calming you down. You know what I mean? Like your buddy ought to be able to walk over and be like, get your head in the game. And I need to be coaching X's and O's. X's and O's. O's. The O's need to be good. So that's how I see it. But obviously I lean more of a like X's and O's, tactician type of player more than a rah guy. I've always said this, Jay, and I said it when I was in high school. I said it to my kid in high school, and he had one of the great high school coaches of all time. If you need a pep talk at halftime, it might be too late.
Yeah, that's
like,
it.
Now it's time to like make adjustments.
Yeah.
Now it's time to talk about like on the field, like all the pep talk stuff needs to be through the week. If you're not ready to play when you get there, like Ohio State's already lost the season. And I think all the great coaching staffs, Nick Saban's not a rah guy. He had his players ready to play every week. There was no getting up for a game. You know what I mean? That was they're professionals. They did it for lack of a better term. So that's what we imagine this Ohio State team is supposed to be, right? They're not overcoming anything. If they
No.
just live up to their talent, they're going to win the national championship. That's the truth. Like, this isn't we gotta figure out how to, claw one out. This is everybody do what you're supposed to do and getting, you know what I mean? And that the reason you came back, and you're going to be fine.
I got a couple things for Jeff here quickly. One of them is about Ohio State national championship. Didn't really do a whole playoff picks and why am I picking one team or another. I am high on Ohio State. Jeff is high on Ohio State. We both believe Ohio State will do really good things this year. Jeff, I hate doing this week one. I hate trying to be this guy. Ohio State should make the Final Four. Absolutely. Possibly even the national championship. I don't see them winning the national championship, though. There's a team in Athens that, to me, is too good right now.
Yeah, as we talked about it before the show, and again, where I'm talking right now, if everything goes perfect and this is always, and everybody's completely healthy.
Yes,
I think Georgia's a tad bit better.
Yes,
I think Oregon and Ohio State, I said, are 1A and 1B, and I don't know which one's A and B. I won't know until a couple weeks. And I think Texas is really good. They might have lost a little more than the other three, but if everybody's healthy, I think Georgia deserves to be the number one ranked team in the country. They should have won it last year. We all know they should be going for a 4-peat right now. It's ridiculous, but whatever. They're not. They lost fair and square. They got beat up. They got beat up. And, teams and you're going through a 12-team playoff to where, you're bringing more intangibles into it. But then the other side of me would say, Ohio State's, if you're just looking at them, on paper, the Ohio State definitely is going to be in the running for it and should be absolutely there. Yeah. But then we're going to start seeing things happen. We're going to start seeing players step up. We're going to, if this, if Smith is as good as they say, now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But if Georgia, let's say Georgia, for whatever crazy reason, takes a step back because of all the pressure in the 3 years and a tough schedule and all that, well, now we've evened the playing field.
Yeah.
So now we're back to oh, never mind. So I think it's fair to say that before week one.
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed to say Ohio State I'm not embarrassed to say Ohio State should finish top 4. I'm not, that's not an insult at all. They have a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We have a lot of things to fit in and a lot of things to squeeze in and a really good Big Ten. You know what I mean? Let's not forget that we brought one of the best teams in the country into the conference, in Oregon. And so, little things like that, but also, Georgia brought Texas in. So it's a wild season. And as of now, it's fair to give the Dogs the advantage, but I hope we get to that point. I hope we find out, Jay.
Oh, so Jeff, last thing here, we're a couple days away from the start of Ohio State's 2024 season. They play Akron. The spread is massive. I don't remember the last time.
It's about 50.
Yeah, about 50. It blows my mind. When I saw the spread for the first time, earlier this summer, I'm like, that can't be real. And as we get closer to the game, it stays there. And I'm buying into it, man. I want to show this really quickly. I'm going to use this graphic throughout the season. No.
Not that one.
Not that one. No.
I love it. I like the blackout. I like the blackout.
I've used this before, Jeff, and it works better. Let's go this way. I put it in the wrong spot, Jeff. We're going to change this live on the show.
This is great.
And hopefully this turns out
well. This is adjustments, man. The helmet come.
Wrong one. Anyways, I got Ohio State beating Akron 55-3. That was not the graphic, not the way it was supposed to go, but week one, early in the year.
This is why we play Akron first, Jay. So me and you aren't. I'm just getting revved up for the football season. I got 3 shows this week. I'm just starting to dig into it. Watched a great Florida State Georgia Tech game already. Week 0 was already good. So we're just getting revved up here, man. We gotta work out. We gotta work a lot of the kinks out too, man.
We do.
Stretch out. Maybe we need to stretch out next time more.
Stretch out, do something, do some voice notes, whatever you got to do. I got Ohio State beating Akron 55-3. That was the whole gist of trying to get the graphic up. And you live and you learn. I do think I think the only score is going to come in the end of the third, early of the fourth, and the backups are out there. Akron drives, kicks a field goal, but I think Ohio State's even the backups on defense are going to be really good at most positions.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Devin Brown. It's weird. Devin Brown getting a full quarter of play because we really haven't seen him play much. Last time we saw him out there playing, it was against a different offensive line, and he got hurt. So I think Ohio State should dominate this game. There should be no questions asked. Like, if it's 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, like, I wouldn't shock me. 55-3, Ohio State beats Akron. Jeff, what are your thoughts about the game?
I've only got a 45-10, and the reason why we talked about it earlier in the season, I don't think teams are going to care as much about the fourth quarter this year because they're looking forward to hopefully such a long season and all that. They shouldn't, honestly, shouldn't need style points.
Right.
Like, I think any undefeated team does not, that nobody will look at style points until they lose. Like right now, Florida State's already on the clock. But I think as long as you're winning, nobody's going to go back and look at Akron if Ohio State loses to Oregon, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So they do not need to do. So I think it'll get a little clunky late because there's going to be forcing players in and getting guys. Because I think now you got to get guys run. You can't have a team this deep and not have guys get out there and get and run. So that might mean they score more, but I think it'll mean they score less. It'll just kind of get weird. Akron, it'll just be some fluke. You know what I mean? Like an Akron will score a touchdown or, and I think they'll get a field goal, but I don't think it'll be, it's not going to be close at all, but I don't know, man. It's just like these games get weird. I don't think Ohio State has no reason to be angry. They have no reason to prove a point. If Howard has a good quarter and a half, 2 quarters, there's no reason to press it. He's not going to learn anything. This isn't a season to we got to learn something. I'm not trying to win a Heisman. I think all the guys are like, just get me to Oregon healthy. I really think that, that's the goal. Get me to the Big Ten season healthy. So I think it might be a little clunkier than we want it to be, but I think the efficiency will be there. I always look at my stats, always points per offensive plays. That's all I care about. Like, how efficient were you? Because there's a lot of times that the game doesn't, tell the story. Justin Fields was one of the best. Joe Burrow was the best ever at points per play. Justin Fields was one of the best ever. Like, it wouldn't matter how it looked. That was still dominance. I don't want turnovers. I don't want any of that stuff. Just go out there, get chunk plays, get points, play defense, the whole 9 yards. This is a classic opening week game.
Oh man, I can't wait.
I cannot
wait. Jeff,
there's so many things to look at this year in college football. It's just amazing. If you're a football fan, there are so many things to dissect each and every game. It's just wonderful. What a wonderful week 1 lineup, and it just gets better.
It just gets better. I think I got this graphic, Jeff. I was trying to work on it while we're talking. I know we're kind of at the end of the show.
I think you're doing a great job
here. And you guys can follow Jeff on Twitter at jhunt006, a part of the OG3 at the Off the Ball Network.
Yep.
And you can follow me on Twitter at jsteven07 for those of you that want a visual graphic. There you go.
Nice.
Trying to work this thing in while we're going. And I'm glad the season's here. We're working through some early season kinks right now. And I'm glad Jeff.
That look good, though, Jay.
I appreciate that.
That's a good-looking graphic, man.
I appreciate that. Jeff will be here throughout the year. Mo Murphy as well, part of the network, the Off the Ball Network, will be here throughout the year as well, filtering in their commentary, talk about Ohio State. They're big fans. We're big fans. And all of us can't wait to see Ohio State play this weekend. Thank you all for tuning in to Locked On Buckeyes on a Thursday. We'll see you next time.